In 1943, Lieutenant James Morrison sat in his Supermarine Spitfire on the tarmac at RAF Biggin Hill, 22 years old. Blue eyes that could cut through fog, a smile his mother said could charm angels. He was supposed to be home by tea time. Instead, he vanished without a trace. October 15th, 1943. Dawn breaking gray over the English Channel. Morrison received what should have been routine orders. Patrol the Dover coastline, report German movements, return by 1,400 hours. 4 hours. That's all it was supposed to take. But Jimmy Morrison never reported back. Red Leader, this is base. Please respond. Over. Static. Nothing but static. Red Leader, do you copy? More static. The silence that would haunt everyone who knew him for 60 years. Within hours, the Royal Air Force launched the largest search operation in the sector's history. 12 aircraft combed every mile of coastline. Ships scoured the Channel waters. Ground crews searched crash sites. They found nothing. Not a single piece of metal, not a drop of oil, not even a thread from his parachute. Squadron leader William Hayes, Morrison's commanding officer, his weathered hands trembling. It was as if Jimmy and his aircraft had simply disappeared into thin air. In all my years of service, I'd never seen anything like it. His voice cracks. We kept hoping for word that he'd been captured, but the Red Cross searches turned up nothing. Jimmy Morrison had become a ghost. Back home in Yorkshire, Morrison's family refused to accept the unthinkable. His mother, Margaret, set a place at the dinner table every night for 3 years. His fiancée, Elizabeth, wore her engagement ring until the day she died in 1987, never marrying another soul. The official letter from the War Ministry was cold, clinical, missing in action, presumed dead. But presumed isn't certainty. And for a family desperate for answers, presumed was torture. Jimmy's younger brother, Thomas. I made a promise to Mum before she died. I told her I'd bring Jimmy home. I kept that promise for 60 years, even when everyone told me to give up. The years passed, like pages turning in a forgotten book. The war ended. Heroes came home to parades and celebrations, but Jimmy Morrison remained lost in time, suspended somewhere between missing and dead, between hope and despair. 20 miles inland from where Jimmy was last seen, the forests of Kent grew wilder, thicker. Branches twisted into impenetrable barriers. Undergrowth consumed everything in its path. And deep within this green labyrinth, something waited in silence. September 12th, 2003. David Pemberton was an experienced hiker who thought he knew every trail in the Kentish woodlands. But on this particular morning, a fallen tree had blocked his usual path, forcing him deeper into uncharted territory. The forest here was different, older. The trees seemed to whisper secrets that had been buried for decades. Then he saw it. At first, it looked like nothing more than a patch of rust-colored metal, almost completely consumed by 6 decades of ivy and decay. But as Pemberton pushed aside the vegetation, his heart began to race. It was the wing of an aircraft. But not just any aircraft. The Royal Air Force roundel was still visible, though faded to ghostly shadows of red, white, and blue. And there, barely legible beneath layers of rust and corrosion, were the letters that would solve a 60-year-old mystery. JM 437. Lieutenant James Morrison's aircraft identification number. Pemberton on his mobile phone, hands shaking. Yes, I need to speak to someone about a missing aircraft. From World War II. I think I've found someone's son. Within hours, the quiet Kentish woodland was transformed into an archaeological site frozen in time. Aviation experts, military historians, and crash investigators descended upon the location like modern-day detectives pursuing a decades-old case. Dr. Sarah Matthews, aviation archaeologist. What we discovered here challenges everything we thought we knew about Morrison's disappearance. The aircraft was intact, remarkably preserved by the forest canopy. But the location, it was impossible. 20 miles inland, no distress calls, no reported engine problems. How does a fighter pilot on a coastal patrol mission end up crashed in the middle of a forest? As investigators carefully excavated the cockpit, they began to piece together Morrison's final moments. The aircraft had come down hard, nose first into the earth. But there were no signs of explosion, no evidence of enemy fire. The fuel gauge read nearly empty. The radio was switched to an emergency frequency, and most puzzling of all, Morrison's flight plan, still clipped to his control panel, showed a completely different route than his official mission briefing. Someone had lied about where Jimmy Morrison was supposed to fly that day. Classified documents, unsealed only after 60 years, revealed a truth that would shake the foundations of everything Morrison's family believed. His mission on October 15, 1943, was not a routine patrol. It was a top-secret intelligence operation. Morrison had been carrying photographs of German fortifications, stolen by a network of French resistance fighters. Information so valuable that men on both sides would kill to possess it. Historian Dr. Michael Thornton, Morrison wasn't just a pilot that day. He was a courier carrying intelligence that could have changed the course of the war, and someone knew he was coming. The investigation revealed Morrison had been betrayed. His official route had been leaked to German intelligence, forcing him to take an emergency detour inland, but the detour led straight into a trap. German agents, already positioned in the Kentish countryside, had been waiting. Morrison's aircraft had been shot down not by enemy fighters, but by saboteurs operating on British soil. In his final moments, knowing he carried intelligence that could save thousands of Allied lives, Morrison had made an impossible choice. Rather than let the photographs fall into enemy hands, he deliberately crashed his aircraft into the densest part of the forest. It was an act of heroism that no one would know about for 60 years. Incredibly, Morrison's sacrifice had worked. The intelligence photographs, sealed in a waterproof pouch and hidden beneath his seat, had survived 6 decades in the English woodland. When finally developed, they revealed German defensive positions that had remained secret until that moment. Military historians now believe these photographs contributed to the success of D-Day operations 6 months later. Morrison's death had helped save the lives of thousands of Allied soldiers. Thomas Morrison, tears in his eyes. All these years, I thought my brother was just unlucky. I never knew he was a hero. On November 11, 2003, 60 years after his disappearance, Lieutenant James Morrison was finally laid to rest with full military honors. His family, his country, and his fiancée's memory could finally find peace. The cemetery was filled with people who had never met Jimmy Morrison, but understood the magnitude of his sacrifice. Veterans from 3 different wars came to pay their respects to a young man who had died protecting secrets that helped win the war. Elizabeth's grave, just a few rows away, received flowers for the first time in years. Someone had left a note. He's home now. But there was still one more secret buried in that cockpit. Hidden in Morrison's personal effects, investigators found a letter he'd written to Elizabeth the night before his final mission. My dearest Elizabeth, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. I can't tell you what I'm carrying, but it might help end this war sooner. I'm scared, but I'm ready. If I don't come back, know that every day with you was worth whatever comes next. All my love, James. Elizabeth's niece, holding the letter. She waited her whole life for him to come home. Now they're finally together. The discovery in the Kentish woods didn't just solve a mystery. It revealed the hidden sacrifices that shaped history. Morrison's story reminds us that heroism often goes unrecognized, buried in forests and classified files, waiting decades to be discovered. Today, a small memorial marks the spot where Lieutenant James Morrison made his final stand. Visitors leave poppies and photographs, honoring a young man who chose duty over survival, who crashed rather than compromise, who died to protect intelligence that helped win the war. The forest has grown quiet around his memorial, but on certain mornings, when mist rises from the earth and sunlight filters through ancient trees, hikers report hearing something in the distance, the sound of a Spitfire's engine, growing fainter and fainter until it fades into memory. Lessons from the depths of history. The rediscovery of Lieutenant James Morrison's aircraft teaches us profound truths about sacrifice, duty, and the hidden currents of history. For 60 years, his family lived with the agony of uncertainty, never knowing their son and brother had performed one of the war's most crucial missions. Morrison's story illuminates how ordinary individuals face extraordinary moral choices. His decision to crash rather than surrender intelligence demonstrates the profound courage required when principles collide with survival instincts. He understood that some secrets are worth dying for, even when that death occurs in anonymity. The forest that concealed Morrison's sacrifice for 6 decades also preserved his legacy, teaching us that truth has its own timeline. Historical mysteries don't always resolve quickly or conveniently, but persistence and chance can unveil even the most buried secrets. Morrison's betrayal and heroic response reveal the complex web of wartime intelligence operations, where trust was precious and betrayal could doom thousands. His willingness to sacrifice himself for intelligence that would later contribute to D-Day's success shows how individual choices can ripple through history in ways the actors never imagine. The 60-year wait for closure experienced by his family demonstrates that some wounds never fully heal, but understanding can bring peace. Elizabeth's lifelong devotion and Thomas's decades-long search prove that love transcends death, and that some promises are worth keeping regardless of how long fulfillment takes. Perhaps most significantly, Morrison's story reminds us that history is written by those who survive to tell it, but shaped by those who sacrifice in silence. The greatest heroes may never receive recognition in their lifetime, but their actions echo through generations, their courage inspiring others long after their names are forgotten. Some mysteries are meant to be solved, some heroes are meant to be remembered, and some sacrifices echo through history, even when they're buried beneath 60 years of silence.